So, the patch notes are in. Briefly went over them, and all I'm gonna say is, eh, there are good changes here. Like, well, I would say majority of the changes are good. This one is good for some people, but in my opinion, this specific change just enforces blow up everything all the time whenever you see it meta. I don't well, not meta, just like it enforces that is what the game is about. The game is about blowing everything up all the time before you even your brain computes what it is that you're blowing up. Okay? I think that's garbage design. I think that's why no one plays. Well, I mean, that's not true. That's not true. I think no one plays PoE1 because it's complicated. But I don't think people will play PoE2 over Diablo 4. Which, by the way, man, don't get me started. Diablo 4 sucks. Yes, we're talking about accessibility here. More people by far will play Diablo 4 over PoE2 because PoE2 doesn't offer anything more interesting than blow everything up all the time. Same as like Diablo 4, which by the way, no, I don't play Diablo 4. No, don't tell me to go back to Diablo 4. I haven't played it since basically not even I didn't even play season 1. That's how much like I didn't like the game. Okay? The best part of the game was literally the beta up to level 25. That was the best part of the game. Realizing that level 25 is the max level. Anyways, this is not that Diablo 4 bad video, because Diablo 4 is bad. It's just because I keep getting people retards in my fucking in my comments saying to go back to D4. No one plays that shit, okay? Except that more people play it than they will play PoE2. And in my opinion, this is exactly why. Because the game will just make you. The game will make you make a build that AoEs everything all the fucking time as fast as possible. Just right click, blow everything up. The most boring fucking gameplay. If I wanted that, I would play D4. I would play PoE1. I would. Actually, Last Epoch doesn't really do that to this extent. So, right now, Last Epoch is probably like the best hope for ARPGs, in my opinion, that are just not about blow everything up. But it has a lot of fucking other issues, so it doesn't matter. Go back to Last Epoch. Anyways, yeah. The haters are gonna hate in the comments regardless. Anyways, this change is the only bad one. Everything else, good change. Is it enough? Not really. 6 spawns on Arbiter of Ash, that's cool. Are people gonna make it to Arbiter of Ash now? Unlikely. Why? Because you only have one attempt at the Citadel bosses. Okay, yes, you can see the citadels now better on the map. You can probably see, I believe you see them through the fog of war now, which is great. A lot of maps still needed to go towards them. Yeah, these are good changes. These are not really like fucking massive fixes, in my opinion. For tower maps, that's cool. Personally, tower maps took like less than a minute to complete, so I don't really care about this. I mean, yeah, it gets boring when people are like, you know who's complaining about tower maps? People who are on like their 2000s map. Okay, these are the people who are complaining about it. Instead of complaining about the fucking fact that you need to do 2000 maps that you already did 2000 maps, you're complaining about this map that literally most builds finish in less than a minute. You can have a shit build that does barely any damage and you would finish towers in less than a minute. Also, towers, you don't like, there's not that many monsters in them. You don't really need to put a high tier map on. Just fucking plug a T1, blast through it, put it in. Like, you're not getting anything out of it. A tower map, anyways. It's like, who gives a shit? It doesn't have breach, which is what everyone's looking for. It doesn't have delirium. It doesn't have trial. It doesn't have. Maybe it has a strongbox. Maybe it might have a strongbox. I don't know. But like, there's nothing in a tower map. So it's like, oh well, now they're gonna change the tower maps to do what? To fucking take longer. I don't think this is a needed change. Personally, don't care. The only thing that needed was like revamp the visuals, which they changed. They changed the tower map. to be the open towers, like the Act 2 map where you're like on top of the buildings, so you can see everything. Where the statue is that gives you lightning resistance. So they changed it, I believe, to that map now. That's a good change. Like, again, personally, this change doesn't matter. The only change that matters really is this. Everything else, I don't even know what maps contain less than 3 rare monsters. I have never seen a map that contains less than 3 rare monsters, but if you say so. Visibility, yes. Citadel, blah 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 blah. Maps on display their biome. Again, it's cool. I don't really think it matters. New overseer precursor tablet. This is great. You can make more map bosses, but at the same time, they also lowered this. So, because you can now spawn more map bosses drop less waystones, and they nerfed the Atlas for waystones. I don't understand the reasoning behind having less waystones. If you have too many waystones, don't pick them up. It's not a problem if they keep dropping. If people are actually struggling with, and it's usually like the mid tier, like around tier 7, tier 6, tier 7. If you're going like 1, 2, 3, like you have no problem, like your build is strong enough to go from 1 to 13, like I was, in the same build, no items, whatever. 7 is where like you have to 6, 7 is where you start to be very conscious of your maps, because they don't drop as often, and you have to realize that's like, oh shit, this is my last map. I'm gonna juice up, as like I'm actually gonna use exalted orbs and juice up one map just to make sure that I will get another tier 6, tier 7, tier 8, whatever map I need in this one specific map, because they are not fucking dropping. Okay? So I don't understand really the reason to nerf map drops. Gatekeeping maps by waystones, I think, is the worst way to gatekeep maps, and not by difficulty. That's just me. I don't know. More XP in Untainted Paradise. Honestly, haven't even found one. Sure, okay, that's a good thing. These maps are totally fine. These are maps for EXP. They should have more monsters. Everything else should not have more monsters, should have less. But then again, you need to make meaningful combat. You need to nerf the fuck out of the interactions of abilities. Builds are way too strong. They do way too much AoE. But again, if the game is designed for it, it is what it is. Just not the game for me. They also, this is, I believe, in the skill changes. That was like energy. Here we go. Skill socketed in the meta gem. Sockets can no longer gain energy. This is probably the biggest nerf in this whole thing, which in my opinion is a good thing, but it does not apply to heralds. Heralds, in my opinion, are way bigger of a problem because they cost less spirit, and they actually perform better than cast on whatever passives. So what this does is, let's say you put, I'll just show it. Here we go. So
they're all coming
this
at me.
build, what he does is he's using an aura, he's putting fire on the floor that this instantly ignites, which causes cast on ignite to occur, which does more abilities. One of them is supposed to cast another aura that drops the ignite on the floor, therefore it just keeps looping onto itself, and you get an infinite loop. So as long as there are monsters, it would just keep casting, obviously at the expense of mana, but there's a way to like recover your mana, so it's not that big of a deal. So essentially all he does, he keeps, with one ability cast, he's looping the game essentially, as long as it's hitting something. So you should no longer be able to do that. Cast on ignite cannot ignite or cannot get energy from the abilities that were casted by the cast on Ignite, right? So if you cast a Firewall through cast through Ignite, even though it would cause Ignite, it would not recharge energy for the cast on Ignite, right? So it cannot loop onto itself. Again, great change. Not sure why they need to do it, because the game is clearly designed for stupid shit like this. And honestly, Herald of Ice and Herald of Lightning still interact off of each other, which is a much bigger problem. Because any build now, because right now all you did is like you nerfed all the casters, which, by the way, making this even possible, you need so much fucking gear. Look at his spirit. He has 623 spirit. Well, he has 253 out of 623. Okay, he's using 370, right? Yeah, 370 spirit for this. Later on, he has a more improved build where he's using even more spirit, but it's like, you need a lot of fucking spirit for this. A lot of fucking spirit. So essentially, the only ones who can do this, I believe, is Invoker Monk, because they have a spirit per something, and the Witch, Infernalist, because she also has spirit gain per HP locked or something like that. So you lock 25% of your HP or something, and then every 15 HP from that gives you 1 spirit. So if you stack HP like a madman on Infernalist, you can then get a lot of spirit back. Something like that. As far as I remember, I don't remember any other specializations that have X for spirit. So yeah. And again, like, obviously he has a chest for spirit, he has a neck for spirits. Like, on your own, and what you can get, like, 200 spirit, and then plus the wand, so it's like 330 spirit, I believe, is the max, something like that. Not 330, plus 30, so it's like 360, I believe. So 360 is supposed to be like the max spirit you can get from gear, something around that area. So yeah, he has substantially more than that. And I believe he doesn't even use a wand. So actually, no, he might be using one. Anyways, doesn't matter. You get the point. That's how it works. Cast on abilities no longer generate energy for the skills they're sucking in them. Clarified Vine Arrow's description to this. I don't know. This is, I think, it's just a tooltip change. As far as I know, it was always the case. And aura tag from Pain Offering, right? So yeah. Nothing, and then some warrior changes. Again, nobody plays the warrior, so it doesn't really matter. Some amulet change, nobody cares. Yeah, so again, I would say majority of changes are good, but this one specifically, aside from like the ones with the essences and maybe strong boxes. So essences and strong boxes probably are fine. Everything else, it just indicates that you want the game to be blow everything up. If you're putting more monsters in maps where you already kind of blow everything up in order to like make it not last 20 minutes, then, you know, look, if you gotta do 2,000 maps, like you gotta do thousands of fucking maps, hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands of maps. Honestly, you're not gonna run them at like 5 to 20 minutes each. You're gonna be trying to run them at like 10 seconds each, right? Not that like you can run them 10 seconds each, but it's like you're gonna run them at less than 2 minutes each, right? This literally just became Diablo 3. Like, maps are essentially Diablo 3 rifts, but you can make them harder on yourself. So it's like, it's tier was it Torment 16 Diablo 3 rifts with some modifiers, and you're still running it under 2 minutes. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty boring gameplay. Like, right clicking your way to victory, I think is pretty boring. I think we've done it for like fucking 20 years now. Diablo 2 devolved into it at some point as well. Yeah, Diablo 2 was actually like, yeah, cow farming was literally that. Javazon, what do you call it, Hammered In, these were all that. You throw one javelin and it like lights everything up and you just kill instantly. Multi-shot was essentially the same. So it's like, yeah, I think even Diablo 2, we already had, throw this, blow everything up. It was less accessible in a sense because it's like you needed monsters to stack most of the time. So if you do like, you know, a Bale run, aside from like the Bale area, the monsters were not as stacked, so it wouldn't blow everything up that bad compared to what it is now. But essentially, that is kind of what it was. It was always blow everything up type of gameplay. Guys, it's been over 20 years. Like, can we evolve the genre to something less boring? Please. Thank you. Bye.